don't think of me versus them, right? And here's what I need to do and here's what you need to do, right? No 50-50, it's 100-100. So when you change that perspective, I think it will also, how can I look internally and get, figure out this weakness I have and make it stronger, but not make it stronger for me so that I can deal with this. No, how do I make it stronger so that I can be stronger for the team? Hey, look, life is not easy. Anything good worth having isn't easy, but add to that the complexity of being an entrepreneur, being married, having children. We have done a lot of things right. We've made a few $1,000,000. We probably lost a few $1,000,000. We made some mistakes along the way, but one thing that we are really good at is relationships.
That's right. We have been together for almost 2 decades.
And we've been through hell and back together.
Yeah, we have. And we used to think that we were the only ones like us out there.
But, especially in our entrepreneurial ventures, we started meeting other ride or die couples that were going through the exact same things that we were going through. And they kept coming to us talking about advice and looking for solutions and really ways to help their relationship thrive. So we just knew there had to be a tribe of us out there. There's no way we could be the only ones out there.
We are getting real and raw, guys.
That's what he said.
Oh my God, babe. From dating to marriage to kids and even sex.
Even how to fight the right way.
We're going to be committed to being open and honest with you because we believe in your relationship too. Welcome to the Ride or Die podcast.
You already put it on?
I did.
Hi, how are you? I was not groping her boob. I was adjusting her microphone. What's up,
Sure
everybody?
Sure
Welcome
you
to
were.
episode 111. Can't believe it.
Remember in high school, you do the number 111 and do the little roof on it? What was the point of that?
No.
Did you never do that?
No.
Oh.
I remember 1111, make a wish, that's it.
Make a wish, touch something blue? Like, why? What's up with that?
I don't know. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about jealousy.
We got another great
I had to
question.
think about that for a minute. Yeah, we had somebody send in something and said, please help me.
Please send in your questions. We'd love to talk about anything that you got. This person's saying, look, I know I have some strategies. I'm working through it. But I'd love for you guys to talk about it. Again, just
What's
to
your
get
opinion?
another insight, right? Different stories, different things that work for us can just only be added bonus.
Well, and let's just preface, this person, without getting into too many details, this person has spent an incredibly good amount of time with us, around us, a lot.
Yeah.
So, they know you and I, and they know that this is not, jealousy is not a, big part of our relationship. So, probably they didn't express all this, but knowing this person, is seeing us at a very close, proximity, going, wait a minute, I'm experiencing all these feelings now. How come I never really see that with you guys? And can you talk about it? So
Yep.
They said, they've started dating somebody more recently, and they say that he's a much better person than they are. She says, I recently discovered that I have jealousy problems and that it gets masqueraded as frustration, hatred, criticism, etc. He doesn't know this yet, though. I've been reading a lot about it, and I think I'll have it under control soon. Apparently, jealousy happens because we are just trying to protect our identity when it feels threatened. It's very interesting. I was thinking maybe you could put a podcast about it together, if it sounds interesting to you. It's something that affects everyone in so many areas and not only relationships. And then they said, my jealousy problems are all over the place. I get jealous about the mother-in-law, about, potential mother-in-law, not having their significant other, not having them as a priority, about them doing something fun that they can't be a part of, about the fact that they've had previous relationships with other people. The list goes on and on. So finally, they're happy that they're becoming aware of it, but just want to get another point of view on it.
We all struggle with jealousy. I don't care who you are. I know
And it's such an
very
ugly
rarely
thing. Like, I can't say that I never get jealous, but when I have twinges of it, it's a feeling and emotion that I want to go away very quickly. I just don't like it. I don't like to feel jealous. I like to be
I've never
grateful.
really struggled with jealousy in our relationship, but I get jealous in like the professional world, right? I'll be jealous of someone's success or of someone's achievement, and I have to catch myself. I have to realize, oh, is that really something that's negative or a story that I'm creating around it, or am I seeing something that I want, or am I seeing something that, or it doesn't even have to be things, right? Like we get upset with people because I'm not an A-type personality, so I don't really like the guru ego personality. It's a strong alpha personality. I've got this one. That's enough for me, right? And
What are you trying to say?
and as of the last few years, I've learned that I have spent years not liking that character because it's a character that I know would serve me. Now, I can't become that. By default, I'm not that kind of a personality, and I shouldn't try to be that, but I do find myself getting jealous. Like, oh man, someone can, be on the front end of things, can speak from stage, can like always be like putting themselves out there, and it comes across as like a big ego, but it's also confidence, and it's something that I know in this world that we're now on the front end of something where the podcast and a book, and I've had to let go of that. I've had to embrace that more. So we all get jealous. I get jealous of stuff all the time, but instead of looking for a way, instead of looking at it as a negative thing, I look at it as a opportunity, a red flag of, let me look at that deeper. Is it really that way, or is there something that I can gain from that? Is there something I can learn and grow stronger in myself so that I don't feel that way? Does that
And I
make
think
sense?
I think the big thing that you're saying here is really self-awareness is a huge part of overcoming jealousy, because when you can actually step back and take a look at the situation, it usually isn't always the way that we see it when we get that feeling of jealousy. And like, for example, I mean, let's just talk about that on the business end for a minute again. Like many times, I would say just about every time we've been jealous in like a business situation, it's not always like for the same reasons, but back when we were first starting our success, like it really started as being jealous of just seeing just people with like money and had nice things, and we didn't have those things and we wanted them so badly, and those things created that feeling of jealousy. But
Oh, rich people must have had to step on people or screw some people over in order to get that wealthy.
see, you thought that way. I just thought like, oh, I want to have, the big closet with all the clothes, and I want to have the nice shoes. I want the ability to go out to eat whenever I want to go out to eat, or, like you just have the money to buy things that you want to buy, or us to travel wherever we want to travel. And, that created that jealousy around like freedom. But what we had realized with not all situations, but some of those situations, you get close to those people and to figure out how they're, you line yourself up with a mentor. Let's figure out how they're doing this so that we can have it too. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. And what we would realize is like, oh my gosh, like they have it all here in this area that we want it so badly, but their marriage is a freaking disaster, or they never see their children, or they've been through a nasty divorce, and that pushed them to have like all this time and extra time to focus on their success. And so they stopped at nothing, and now they're where they are. It wasn't necessarily like together as a husband and a wife like we're creating. And so it would make us step back and go, oh, okay, this feeling of jealousy starts to fade because we're more aware of the situation and we're able to look at the situation a little differently.
Looking at it, the whole
Still-
picture, not just
right.
one area.
And use that at that point to be a motivation to inspire us to have that and this, versus like, okay, I can see clearly how they got there now, and that's really awesome, and I still want to strive for that. I still want to have this. It's not like, ooh, I don't want it anymore. I still want that, but I want that.
Not at the cost of something else.
Exactly. I don't want that. It's always been at the cost of our relationship with every move that we've made. So it's never been at the cost of that. So I think just like really that self-awareness, realizing it and being able to then use that as a fuel to inspire you to act differently for a different cause is like pretty big.
I also say that whenever, I've said it before in other podcasts, when you want something out of somebody else, so say you're jealous because you see they're giving attention to a family member or a best friend and you're not getting that attention, instead of looking at it negatively, and this all revolves around trying to control, right? You can't control somebody else, you can't change them. However, what you can do is you can give that thing that you want to get. So even when Sam, at the beginning of our relationship, she struggled with this like trusting that I wasn't cheating on her. Like, even though we worked together and we
Like,
spent all this time.
all the time I struggled with it.
Yeah, like nightmares that she would have. Like, we can't control her dreams, and subconsciously it was a fear for hers because of her past relationships. So she would be, she would have that, and I could have been like, no, don't you know, I'm here with you all the time, and there wouldn't be this opportunity to even do it, even if I wanted to, and I love you, and you're hot, and like
And you're hot.
none of that really got through. But by just continuing to give her the confidence, by continuing to like find opportunities where I could have maybe gone out, or I could have, like, we have friendly friends of the opposite sex, ex-girlfriends that I'm really good friends with. I had to show her, like, no, I'm willing to let that relationship go, or in some relationships, I'm willing to completely burn it, right? In the MySpace days, it'd be like an ex-girlfriend popped up, sends this long message, and it's more about like friendship, not at all about the like nothing. It's
But is
innocent.
it really?
Right.
But is it really?
Whether I'm justified or not, I knew how big of a deal it was to her. So there would go off that I'd be like, you know what? You want me to say all that stuff? Go ahead and write everything you want me to write to tell her to go away, and I'll hit send. I don't have to do that. I could continue to argue and try to change her mind.
And you
or
did.
I could be like,
You should try.
this is not. Yeah, I did, and it didn't work. Or I could just be like, is this friendship is that a higher priority than my spouse? No. Do I have to do this? No, but I'm going to do it because it's one more point I get, one more little extra bit of confidence she has that, like, oh wow, he's really willing to let go of all kinds of relationships or do whatever it takes to keep me around. And it's years of that eventually was like, you don't worry about me cheating, right? You just left for 5 days, like.
Yeah, I didn't worry about you.
There's do I need to have the location service on my phone? No. We do it now for safety rather than anything else, but.
What are you talking about? I spy on you all the time.
Yeah, like, I want her to be able to feel like she can look through any of my stuff, that she knows where I am at all times.
That was completely his idea. He gets nervous that when I go out and he can't get a hold of me, that something terrible could have happened to me. So
you got your hands full with the kids. The last thing, I'm not answering the phone. But I know you're still alive and you're safe.
Well, and I will say that.
So give what you want to get.
I was going to say that because at that point in our relationship, when we were struggling a lot with the jealousy stuff, and you were just trying to tell me, like, I'm not doing anything wrong, and I didn't disagree with you, ever. I didn't think that you were. My problem always was with the other person. Mm-hmm. And just because I have full trust in you doesn't mean that that person wasn't trying to pursue you in a different way.
Right, they might get more clever in their tactics and approach.
And I know from experience, I would have exes contact me, and I was willing to not talk to them because if I had feelings for them emotionally, sexually, or whatever at some other time, who's to say that none of that stuff could actually resurface? And it just wasn't ever worth it to me. Like you already have a connection with somebody that you dated, right? So it's easy to be friendly because you already shared like intimate stuff with them. But it was so much easier for us when we met people of the opposite sex, like as a couple. Like I kind of gravitated to be more friends with the females, and you gravitated a little bit more with the males, just because like naturally you don't want to be hanging out with the like we're we're straight, so you don't want to be hanging out with the opposite sex so much that you actually do start to get attracted to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like we always avoided those things, and so naturally for me, I just felt like, well, we would definitely want to do that with our exes as well, and so that was super important to me. So I think the point of that whole story and Brandon sharing that was, I do believe a lot that it's an internal battle mostly, which I want to hit on in a minute when we switch the gears a little bit. But there is a degree of communication with your husband or your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever that needs to be discussed of what the expectations are in your relationship and making sure they're clear. Because I don't care if Brandon's around other women, but I do care if it's in certain situations or even to this day, like there's just things that I think are inappropriate situations for myself or Brandon to be in. One being like, an easy example would be, we're in an industry where we both have to travel a lot. Well, I would not go, even if it was just to like stop by somebody's room or something for something. I wouldn't like go with a guy by myself to their room, or I wouldn't want Brandon.
Even if you were just working. Hey, you want
It's totally
We need to go over this presentation or these notes. Well,
Right.
we're going to do it in the lobby or in
and it's not in a distrusting way at all. I just think it's like not really appropriate to do those things, no matter what the context is. And,
playing with fire and expecting not to get burned.
right, and like I said, like even after 18 years, like I can think of one person in my head that I know you guys are very, very close friends. I don't ever think I've seen you actually, since being in a relationship with you, be such good friends with a female where it's
Like,
she's just such good people. Like, we love you, by the way. This is not like, but I don't get text messages from or Brandon, like, when they're together, like, hey, we're going to go hang out in room for a little while. Like, they just don't do that stuff, right? Like, it's totally inappropriate. So I brought it up with a real life example, so it didn't look like we were just like making up scenarios. Like, there's real life scenarios. But have they been in a hotel room together with other people around? Yeah. Have I ever cared? No. Like, I know where the trust lies in our relationship, so I don't get jealous about those things. I just brought that up, and because I wanted it to know, like, people to know that those situations really do come up. And just having conversations about expectations with your spouse is like a real thing. It's almost like now it goes unsaid, like we just know that about each other. And I don't mind calling it out, like I would have a challenge with that. But I know opposite wise, like if I was, I traveled around with guys for a while in the seminar industry and you weren't around, and it was never a thing. Like, I never went back to people's rooms afterwards. Like, that's just stuff that didn't happen.
Or just staying out late with drinks, like,
Oh yeah, too many drinks. I usually used to have a drink limit rule that I would set for myself, just because it's not that I didn't trust myself in those situations. I just don't want to put myself in a situation ever where I did lose control or wasn't thinking or something, and it's just not worth losing my relationship over.
Or that it could even...
And I don't want you to feel that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, she's out till 2 a.m. and she's supposed to be like working and up at 6. And that just fosters bad energy in our relationship. And it's just not something that I ever thought was worth doing to Brandon. I don't like when he travels and he's up really late. And so I just don't do that. It's the same respect I want to give back to him.
Yeah, or you never want there to be you never want there to be a opportunity for a he said, she said moment. Like you could go...
No, that's true.
You could go
That's true.
have a meeting in in a professional way in some guy's room, but there's no other witnesses. So if anyone ever did say something, there'd be no one else to vouch whether something happened or not.
I never even thought of that. You're taking it to a whole new level.
Because that's how I think. Like, so we'll be out in public, and obviously, the more that even our podcast grows, the more I know people are watching, and I never want to be in a situation where someone could even
imply that.
Yeah, they could even.
You just did that
it.
recently. You went to an event, and instead of like going out to the networking events, but the networking events were at like lounges and clubs, and you were like, I'm coming home, and I'm like, are you sure you don't want to stay out? And he would just say, yeah, like it's just not my...
This is the whole environment of mini skirts and people clearly, the majority of people are out for a different reason, and that's just not the crowd that I am in without my wife.
I'm gonna get you a unicorn headband to wear. Because to
Nice.
me, I'm like,
Nice.
I look at it so differently. I'm just like, oh my gosh, a networking event, free drinks, you get to go chill, listen to music, dance, like totally my scene, and it's totally not his scene. So I told him next time he can come home and I'll go out.
Yeah,
I'll
there
go
you
out
go.
and network and go have fun. But I'll still skip the mini skirt. I won't wear a mini skirt, okay?
All right, neither will I.
So let's talk about this for a minute about the internal battle, because I do think that we can put partial responsibility on our spouses to help us feel more secure, especially when they're willing and able to talk about things and understand that they may not get it, but it's important to us. Like Brandon said, it was important to me. I don't believe in having really close friendships with exes, and he didn't see the big deal about it, but he did love me enough to understand that if it just made me feel so shitty, like why was he continuing to do it, right? That's like eating until we're 300 pounds more than we're supposed to weigh. Like, you know it's not healthy, so why are you doing it if it's gonna make you feel crappy later? But internally, it's a mindset. This is just a mindset, and it's really, what's up in my hair?
Fluff.
Oh, thanks. So, and I think that you're already realizing that in your message, you were saying that, but it's super being not just awareness, but like having a mindset that jealousy is just an emotion, and you have a certain amount of control over the power that you give these thoughts and emotions. And, you know, there was a time in our relationship where I was way more jealous, and I had that sense of jealousy a lot. And there was a point where I realized I had to let that go a little. I couldn't put all that responsibility on Brandon. He could take actions like that actual MySpace thing is a real deal thing that happened with us. There was an ex-girlfriend that would pop around every year, and she would write in a way that I thought was almost like, hey, don't forget I'm still around. And he didn't see it that way, but I did. And I didn't like it. And so after like 3 years of us being together, I'm like, you know, do you still need pictures of this chick around? Do you still need a box of things to remember her by? Do you still, you know, need to talk to her on MySpace every 6 months to a year when she comes around and says like, hey, don't forget about me? And he was able to take that action and go, no, I don't, if it really bothers you that much, then whatever, do what you need to do. And it was kind of like, he kind of did it in like a whatever kind of way, like this like dick attitude. I don't want to call you a dick, but this like dick attitude about it. But
I didn't want to do it, but I also didn't want you to feel some kind of way, so.
yeah, but that action did more good than it did for evil, you know what I mean? Like afterwards I was like, all right, like he's taking actions. I can't put all this responsibility on him. He's obviously does all these things for me to, you know, have no reason to distrust him. So what now are some things that I need to be doing to just change my mindset a little bit and just trust him more? Like obviously saying, write whatever you want me to send and I'll hit the send button. And you read it and you were like, this is really what you want to send? And I was like, yep. And you were like, okay. And you sent it and I was like, oh, wow, shit, he really just sent that. Oh, he really does love me. Like I had a lack of confidence, right, in the situation that he helped me feel, but I needed to take that the next step moving forward. And when we were in a similar situation, not let that feeling come about me again and, you know, make me feel some kind of way, and understand that like he really is here for me and I have to just trust it. What's the worst that's gonna happen? I trust too much and he completely screws me over. And
But then you have no regrets.
right, but at least I did, you know, well, yeah, I guess in a way. It's weird though, because when you have something you love, and I know this is how jealousy starts, when you have something you love so much and you don't want to lose it, like you're almost overprotective over it. Like I was overprotective of you at the beginning of our relationship. We had a lot of people that were trying to break us up within like the first 3 months of us dating, and that one person that was still coming around every year was one of those people, you know, and even in like, you know, just a very like major way at the beginning of our relationship, there's nothing about her that I wanted around, you know, and so like when she would kind of come around, I would be overcompensating for the fact that she was there. And instead of putting that energy into let me show you why you want nobody else but me, I was going, I don't want you to, 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 because I was so, like, there was a big insecurity in me that, like, this bitch could come and take my man, you know? Like, that's a big feeling of, I'm sure it's a real emotion that comes over many women and not just
For
me.
sure.
You guys can tell me if I'm totally crazy and you've never felt that before, and I'll maybe have to go see a shrink or something. But I definitely feel like, you know, I don't get those feelings like that anymore, but I get twinges of that kind of feeling here and there. Just being around certain people sometimes, and it has nothing to do with you. It could just being around another female that has a quality that I don't feel like I possess enough for myself, and I just have to take a step back and go, it's a beautiful quality they have. Is there something that I can change about myself to do that, or is this just kind of like a good example is like the really sweet girls. Like, I always think, oh, the really sweet girls, they're so like hospitable, and Brandon always says he just wishes I would open the house to everybody all the time, and I wish I could be that person for him sometimes, but then every time I try it, I actually don't really like it. I like being a little bit more private, only letting people in that I really trust, and I have this guard up a little bit, and it protects me. It protects me from feeling that vulnerable with other people, and I don't know, it's just the way that I came to the thing that I don't need to be jealous of all the people that are very hospitable. They're amazing for having that quality. I can be amazing for not having that quality too, and just embrace it. So anyway, I don't know where I was really going with that, other than just like, you know, when you can not have so much, like, foster so much like feeling about it and kind of channel that energy somewhere else, can be pretty empowering.
You got anything else, or can I end with this?
Oh, you can end.
Okay. So this is the beautiful thing about marriage or seriously dating relationships, right? An intimate relationship is pretty much the only thing that has enough reward that you're willing to risk vulnerability, risk emotion, risk ego, and looking at these opportunities as ways to improve and grow, not just personally. We've talked about identity and ego, but the thing that has to shift when you're in a serious relationship, and obviously the intent is to, you know, be married if you're not married yet, the mindset that has to shift is that it's not about you anymore. Like, you need to be the best you for you, granted, but you need to be the best you for them, but you don't think about yourself only, and I'm not getting this, and this makes me feel this way. It's all, you know, me. Instead, this is what Ride or Die is all about. It's the team. What is the team unit, right? Two become one. You are no longer you anymore. You are a couple. You're a package deal. So even though I don't agree with some of the way Sam feels about certain things, or I don't agree with how, you know, like how upset she might get about something that I think is so little, it doesn't matter. What matters is it bothers her, so I have to make adjustments, and the same way around.
I was just going to say, I'm not the only one that feels strongly about things here.
If I feel strongly about something,
don't let him fool you.
At the end of the day, whether she likes it or not, who's showing up here?
I think it's our groceries. I just got the notification. I forgot I ordered groceries.
Good
Sorry,
old
guys.
Instacart.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
Totally forgot. I put it in order
think of
last
the
night.
team. Don't think of me versus them, right? And here's what I need to do, and here's what you need to do, right? No 50-50. It's 100-100. So when you change that perspective, I think it will also. How can I look internally and get, figure out this weakness I have and make it stronger, but not make it stronger for me so that I can deal with this. No, how do I make it stronger so that I can be stronger for the team? So that's all I got.
I love it.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys. Keep those questions coming in. DM us, or if you've got our number, send us a text message. We love sharing, and we also love hearing the different ways that you guys ask questions. It makes us think more and go out and get those resources and stuff for you. Anyway, follow us on Instagram. This guy's pounding down the door at Brandon and Sam, and we'll see you next week for another episode of the Ride or Die podcast.
We should talk about instant gratification next week, because if we don't answer the damn door after like 2 seconds, they're like calling the police and stuff. Anyway, have a great day, guys. Thanks for joining us.